What do you think of all people? Why can't I think of his name? Fishman.
Ackbar.
Ackbar, yeah. Why of all people Ackbar? Do you think he was the easiest to frame?
I think it's because he is not very personable, and there is a popularist below him that would love to jockey him out of that position. I feel like that's the squeaky wheel, I guess, that Thrawn's going to grease.
Nobody looked at no one looked at Ackbar and said that fish looks greedy.
He looks fishy.
Hello there. You found the lost Holocron, an ancient artifact of lore and legends from a galaxy far, far away. Each transmission of the lost Holocron, you will join in an episodic discussion of media from the Star Wars universe. We will be your guides. Tim, Updog.
There was a Tim here. It's gone now.
Scott, Ligma.
Balls.
Stuart, Mind
Do I have to censor that now? Mind Goblin. Boogie Boogie.
And I'm Henway. We will be covering your material up to and including Chapter 26 of Dark Force Rising. Stuart, what happened so far?
The long-lost Katana Fleet has been rediscovered, and at this critical point in the twilight of the Galactic Civil War, whoever claims the fleet will determine the temperature of the war for years to come. Years before, as a navigator, Talon Karrde happened upon the fleet in deep space, but didn't suspect that the Captain Hoffner also recognized their chance discovery. The New Republic is in disarray, as political infighting is stoked by suspicious financial activity in Admiral Ackbar's account, alerted by a sophisticated electronic break-in. He is placed under arrest, charged with treason, and his political rival Borsk Fey'lya has been actively chasing the political opening. Captured for his knowledge by the Grand Admiral Thrawn, Karrde is freed by Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade just before his interrogation. They head to Coruscant, Karrde intending to reward the New Republic with his knowledge for liberating him. But the Grand Admiral is not out of leads and has been pursuing an independent Corellian faction, whom were sold 6 of the Dark Force warships by Hoffner. Han Solo and Lando Calrissian are unknowingly tracked by Niles Ferrier, who feeds this intel back to Thrawn. Han and Lando are barely able to escape with their lives as the Imperials bombard the luxury casino among the reefs of Pantalomin and extract Captain Hoffner. Leia Organa Solo has made a covert embassy to the Nogu homeworld and uncovered the manipulations of the Empire to keep the Nogu people enslaved. She promised to return with haste, bringing materials that they will need to expand their agriculture. Tim, what happened to Chapter 26?
With everyone at Coruscant, an emergency council meeting has been called. Mon Mothma, Fey'lya, Han, Leia, and Luke in attendance as Karrde discusses the handover of the Katana Fleet. Despite multiple lines of evidence, Fey'lya is highly resistant to the validity of the Dark Force. He claims concerns of diverting too many resources in order to salvage the fleet. Leia raises the idea of sending an investigatory team to verify the authenticity of the intel. Without obvious objection, Fey'lya agrees to talk to Admiral Dreason and requisition an appropriate team to be sent in the morning. Karrde gives Leia a look before announcing his intention to retire for the night. Mon Mothma disbands the meeting, and Han pursues Fey'lya into the halls, leaving Leia to follow Karrde. Fey'lya is hostile towards Han, who tries but fails to pull Fey'lya out of his rigid framing of the situation. In the guest quarters, Mara dwells on her softening vendetta as she waits for Karrde to return. A troubled Karrde gives one data card to Mara, instructing her to rendezvous with their group in the Trogan system with a high-level recognition code and instructions for Aves to meet at the Katana Fleet. Karrde also wants his specialist slicer Ghent sent to Coruscant to uncover details that may exonerate Admiral Ackbar of the treason charges. Leia arrives for a surreptitious discussion. Karrde requests a fast, long-ranged craft for Mara to take off-world, and, in the face of Fey'lya's obstinance, Karrde suggests another tech team leave before the official party, one that would be hand-selected by Fey'lya. Karrde impresses Leia that his actions are not one of allegiance, but of gratitude to Luke and to ensure the continued independence of his group. Leia agrees, receiving a second data card from Karrde. She takes Mara to acquire a Y-Wing and moves quickly through the night to muster another group headed by Han and Luke, accompanied by Wedge's squadron of X-Wings. By morning, they are spaceward, and news has reached Fey'lya. The Bothan is outraged. He petitions Mon Mothma for an arrest warrant for Solo and Skywalker, and declares himself head of the mission. Karrde agrees to have him along, but reminds him that until the Katana Fleet has been claimed, Karrde is the owner of, and has authority over, the handling of the fleet.
First things first, I want to call out Stuart's Scarecrow. Pretty cool. How do you guys feel about the term slicing in Star Wars?
It seems like it's a cool way to kind of make their point across as to what it does, because they use in Destiny 2 they use like splicer for kind of a similar type of role, which I thought was cool. I like the term.
Yeah, I mean, like, Tim probably, and yeah, you as well, Scott, that we've been with that terminology for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it was certainly in all of the RPGs and a lot of the video games. If you read any books, it's probably part of that as well. It does make it seem a lot more, I want to say, hardware than software.
Yeah, which I get. I always kind of got that impression about the Star Wars universe, is that a lot of everything seems to be a little more analog rather than digital. So I think splicer is a pretty good term for, instead of hacker.
Yeah, they don't have C+ in this universe.
It's binary or it's nothing.
Yeah.
This chapter was very political intrigue. A lot of finger pointing, a lot of accusations.
Yeah.
There's so many accusations.
I did really like this chapter, though. Yeah,
I really liked Karrde in this chapter in particular. He is very cool, in control, very perceptive, and he is also like establishing his boundaries, right? And he is not attacking anybody. He just kind of like draws a line and says like, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to give you. We're going to make this exchange, and if that doesn't work for you, I'm going to head out and sell this thing to the next highest bidder.
Yep.
Which is, I mean, obviously a bluff.
Yeah.
He fully knows that somebody like Thrawn's going to get to it faster already. Like,
right.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And really, there's nobody else that can get him what he needs, which is the escape from the Imperial Inquisition, I guess.
Also, who else is buying?
Yeah, not at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I think the people he could sell it to is Thrawn or Ronak, and you know, it's not like he's gonna go out on the street and be like, Dreadnought Squadron.
He's gonna post it on Craigslist.
I was just gonna say that.
You need 6,000 ships.
Do you have 200 people standing by? Well, I've got a deal for you.
What would Craigslist be called in Star Wars? Blurg's List.
Blurg's List?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it would be like Darklighter List or
Big's List.
Big's List, yeah, Big's List.
Antilles wait list. Speaking of Antilles, as soon as Karrde said, do you know anybody who wants to do you know anybody who doesn't mind getting in a bit of trouble? I was like, oh yeah, I smell Wedge coming back into the story. And like the very next page and a half, it was like Wedge woke up from his bunk and like, yes, I knew it.
Oh, it's Wedge. Do you think Wedge is a drama queen in his personal relationships?
I don't think he's a drama queen, but he loves chisme.
He what?
He loves gossip.
Yeah, sorry.
What makes you say that, Tim?
Because he likes jumping at violent conflict so much. So like maybe he stokes conflict in his friendships.
He's the guy that shoots first and asks questions later.
Yeah. Like maybe Han and Luke are just work companions, so he doesn't bother. But like amongst his actual friends, he's the instigator.
I feel like Wedge is a little bit of a live to work kind of guy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So long as that work is blasting stuff and blowing things up.
Good guy, Wedge.
Yeah.
Always there.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about Fey'lya at this point? Because I know we have to have some conflict here, but like, is he just being a contrarian, or what's going on here?
He's a Republican.
It feels like he's definitely grasping at more straws, and definitely feels like he's just trying to be contrarian just for the sake of it.
But like, what is his goal there? Because it seems a little bit unclear that like, does he want to get there first to get the dreadnaughts? But like, he already knows that they're there. So like, how can he sneak it by everybody to say, yes, well, I found it, I'm bringing it back? Like, I don't understand his play.
Well, yeah, and they talk a lot about how Bothans just want the prestige, and you know, and it seems like something that Fey'lya would definitely just love. Be like, oh yeah, I recovered the Dark Force. You know, everybody worship me. I mean, I feel like it's more than that, but I do think that he would definitely just love that part of it too.
A big part of it is probably just like proving that he's the better candidate than Ackbar.
Yeah. But also he'll use that prestige to show that, you know, look, I found the Dark Force, or I helped. I was part of the team that recovered it. Yeah.
He's like those scientists that scrub to put their names on every paper that goes through their office, so that they can get more and more reference notes.
It was discovered by a woman, but the man, you know, puts his name on the discovery.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, unfortunately.
Yeah, particularly historically.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's the person who hears somebody say a joke but then says it louder.
You know, I think he's one of those people that hears a joke and then just says it louder.
Got me.
Sorry, Kyle. I will take that out in the edit.
No, please keep it in. This has been a lost Holocron.
Am I just super behind, or did you not hear me? What happened there? I thought it was a joke, but clearly it wasn't now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing with the whole Fey'lya thing is really bothering me, actually, because like, particularly we as the audience get enough instances of like, this is part of his culture. A lot of people have seen this, but then when Han comes in and says like, you're playing by Bothan rules, he's heard that once from Cena, and we talked about Leia's trip to Europe. Apparently Han was on that same trip to Europe and learned something about Bothans and was like, look, you're doing Bothan rules, I see it.
A little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing.
Yeah, it bothered me that it came up twice in his conversation, like in the room with all the plants. But you know, then there was the section with Mara, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard about that kind of stuff going on with the Bothans," in her conversation with what's his face, Karrde. So like, from the audience perspective, it feels like, oh no, this is plausible, but you know, Han only heard about this thing once, and now it's his one stick to hit Fey'lya with.
Oh, Han.
Yeah.
I don't know why Fey'lya, since he keeps being brought up specifically in this chapter, made me think of West Fey'lya, and I wonder if that has any connection, or is it just a coincidence? That's a region of Germany.
Oh. Oh, West? I thought you said West, like short for Wesley.
Yeah, that's what Eric
West Fey'lya. It's not even spelled the same, but
yeah. Well, we know that Timothy Zahn. Well, we haven't confirmed, but it seems highly likely that he takes some things and gives it a little bit of a zhuzh, and that's a name now, like honor and onaga, and At first, I thought Fey'lya was supposed to be failure, the failure of the Republic to come together.
Maybe.
But
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Westphalia is credited for creating creating the framework for modern international relations.
huh.
Oh. Neat.
Why does that disappoint you?
Oh,
No, that was
it was more of a
yeah,
Oh, okay.
like a realization. Oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, neato.
Hmm. And then the other thing about failure is that him not looking at Han makes me feel like he's either really immature or he's neurodivergent.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. A little bit.
Or it's a tactic.
Yeah, I think it's more intentional.
Mm.
I don't know. I get the impression he just doesn't think very highly of Han.
I forget.
Yeah.
Does Han have an official role on the council? No, wait. He's trying
No.
to get the trade routes open, right? Or was that just something they're like
He does have
contracting
a
him for?
title. It was brought up earlier in the book.
No. He used to have a title, and he retired from the military.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
And
he used to be general, right?
he used to be a general, and that's why Ackbar doesn't like him, because he feels like he turned his back on the military.
Mm.
Maybe it's something like you shouldn't even be speaking on this matter kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, even later in the chapter, it's like they've handled sensitive information before, and then Fey'lya's like, that was the past. We'll have none of this. That was then, this is now. Now he's not cleared for this information.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
And since it's Star Wars media, it's probably going to come on the side of the rebels again,
Of course.
because we can't ever have bureaucracy function.
yeah.
But this is the
Right.
90s, so it doesn't feel as frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt this frustration before as well. Of like, there's an immaturity that
Mhm.
I feel like runs through, particularly modern Star Wars, is that it's always a band of rebels. It's nobody working in concert with anybody else.
Mhm.
It's always the justification of the rogue. You know, I kind of guess that's also in Knights of the Old Republic too. Not the second one, the first one.
Yeah.
You are a rogue Jedi going out to be the one to defeat the Dark Lord. In the second one, it's a little bit more like, authority has been scattered and you've got to pull it back together.
Yeah,
Which is a lot more satisfying.
it is. It's very different for Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where it's just the sacrifice that has to be made for storytelling. Like, if
Not
I think how short this
necessarily.
chapter would be. I think how short this chapter would be if they were like, "Yeah, we got to go to get the ships," and they're like, "Yeah, great, agreed, let's go, come on."
Yeah. Yeah, they got to have something in there.
Because teamwork makes the dream work, guys. And if you have a big enough team, there is no dream that cannot be achieved.
Oh.
This is why I think, like, bigger governments don't work, because at some point you've just got people's voices being lost or interests aren't. You can't have a galactic republic in the end. And the fact that they keep trying to make a galaxy-wide something that works for everybody is just... It's always going to have this tension. There's always going to be a rebel movement that needs to strike out so that their interests are heard, or that, the red tape doesn't take.
Give me one example of a government so big that it can't agree on something. One example, Stuart.
Do you want a real world example,
How much time you got?
or a Star Wars example? Because I would say the Ratakan Empire, the Old Republic,
Oh,
the
Star Wars, right?
Old Sith Republic, or the Sith Empire, the New Sith Empire.
Any Sith ever.
Yeah, any Sith Empire.
Stupid
Even
Sith.
when there's
They
only
were the
two
same.
Sith.
Most empires.
The Sith duo.
Yeah.
One Sith by themselves.
Inside every Sith is two wolves.
Yeah, it's rough, but what's the alternative?
Decentralized governments. I mean, I guess
Fair.
that's what the American government, the American democracy experiment is supposed to be.
Yeah, it is.
But well, what's that line from Futurama? I agree with everything my opponent says, but I believe that his policies don't go too far enough.
Oh yeah.
Politics are hard.
Yeah. Oh no, wait, I did write it down. It has here, current canon is also struggling with the too cool for rules, and Stuart doesn't like it. But I guess this is like the Asimov's 3 laws problem, is that he wrote those specifically so that to show the flaw in giving specific instructions at any point. And you know, when you got a bunch of rules and rule settings for people that you don't know and can't know, that, you know, we go back to the example of Sabaoth ruling over that little village. Everybody knows him. He knows everybody else, and he gives down his judgment. Everybody seems to kind of like agree with it at some point. I mean, I know they do get shocked into submission, but
Or are
into
they
accepting his judgment.
influenced in other ways?
Ooh, maybe. But
What,
yeah.
what if this is a WandaVision situation?
Oh, okay. I mean, we did get it with Luke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delta Force got brought up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still don't know what that is.
Do you think that Karrde knows what it is?
I don't think anyone knows what it is yet.
Yeah. I don't think he does, but I don't know. As far as I'm usually ahead, I don't even know who it is.
I gotta say, this is a really well hidden thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, it is.
Extremely well hidden.
I
Yeah.
keep forgetting about it. Even me bringing it up now, I can't remember why they brought it up or what like trail they have on it. What is it? What is it supposed to? Why does it keep getting brought up?
It's supposed to be Thrawn's personal information leak inside the Imperial capital, or the Republic capital now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And nobody
mole.
knows who it is,
Mhm.
or how the information is getting out. They've checked for bugs before. They did mention that. And they're not finding anything that's like a recording device. So they seem to think that there's some sort of mole.
Yeah.
It's an actual bug. It's in Chewbacca's fur.
Or the Bothan's fur.
Just a ton of mites.
That's why he always says
1
that
million
his
ants.
first shivers.
Yeah.
A horde of
So it
fleas. A horde of fleas.
1 million
that
fleas. Yeah.
They separate from him and form a mass.
Yeah.
What if it is the fur? It's like you said, as it's moving around, there's like some sort of like electric static field that's being manipulated by this thing, and then they're reading that manipulations to say, and then Thrawn is doing his big brain and going like, oh, because he's reacting in this certain Bothan way, that must mean that they're saying these kinds of things.
They're shaking the hairs at a frequency that Thrawn is picking up on his radar.
It's like Morse code or something.
All right. Solved it, guys.
Yeah, we got it.
Nice.
We're
We're just waiting for the
Nailed it.
confirmation now.
One mystery done.
Yeah.
Next question. Do the Mon Calamari live in salt water or fresh water?
Saltwater.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's a planet-wide ocean, I would guess saltwater. Easy,
It
next
is an
one.
alien world.
I mean, if they're crawdads,
Check.
they could live in freshwater, but
going back to Fey'lya for a little bit, what do you think that Han could have said to be more persuasive to Fey'lya? Was there something? Was there an argument that he could have listened to, or do you think that Fey'lya is just like completely set and there's no changing his mind?
I think in this, Han does a 360 and starts ass kissing and just agreeing with whatever they say. That Fey'lya is not going to agree with him no matter what.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that might be the only option.
I think, yeah, even if Han started saying things that Fey'lya agreed with, he wouldn't admit it, and I think he would still be opposition opposed to Han.
Like I said, he's a Republican.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of like sunk cost going into his position as well. That particularly if what Han says is true, if we take what Han says is true, and we believe that Fey'lya is projecting based on the ways that he kind of like was defensive about Han. Like there was one particular point that he seemed to like flash up about, that he's just put too much into this. He doesn't have anything behind him and he's just hoping that the next thing that he turns up will either distract from his bumble here, or the next thing has to be lucky for him because he's been on a losing streak, not turning up any information, that he's just grasping at straws until something's got to come, right? That's got to be what he's on about.
Yeah, he's too deep now.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's the one who smuggled funds to himself.
Oh.
Yeah. And then he sent it to Ackbar to frame him when he was about to get caught.
Yeah.
Look, no, this is.
I mean, realistically, where are those funds going to go if Ackbar is tried and convicted?
Fey'lya's going to just be like, oh, well, they've got nowhere else to go. You might as well just transfer money.
Many Bothans died for this cash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably going to be like, oh, yeah, all of our people died for all this, so you owe me.
For these Benjamins.
for these
fat stacks.
Yeah.
Because he really needs to get a lot of like flea medication.
He's like, for some reason I keep itching. When I try to sleep at night, I hear tiny voices. The fleas are trying to inception him in his sleep.
Speaking of voices.
Hopefully not speaking of fleas.
Yeah, hopefully not.
She is scratching herself right now.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
And on her fur.
She's Delta Source. Leia met Mara Jade.
Yeah.
What happened?
And it was interesting. I thought it was interesting because the narrator is like, oh, it was Skywalker's sister, not Leia.
Yeah, so this part was from Mara's perspective. It was quite interesting.
Yeah.
It went from Leia to Han to Mara to Wedge and then back to Leia, I think.
Yes.
Timothy Zahn just juggling characters in the chapter.
Yeah. Right. Well, I thought it was just interesting how Mara referred to Leia as Skywalker's sister, not Leia.
Yeah. Oh, that is interesting.
She doesn't give two shits about Leia.
Yeah. That's a good attention to detail.
I mean, she did call her Organa Solo at some point. But yeah, like, I feel like those are very interesting choices to make in terms of like juggling the POV. But it's also very good in the way that it creates a frame while speaking. And every single chapter has some frame character. I think like when we had Han coming back in the beginning, and then Leia has made this private deal with the Kabarak, and Han doesn't know what's going on. He just knows that Chewie's very shifty and Leia is a little bit cagey about what's going on because she doesn't know how to share this. And it creates, for the novel, an interesting tension between what we know and what he doesn't know, and what how he might react to what's going on.
Mm.
And then when we get round to Mara, like we have had one, I think, in the last book that was Karrde's point of view, but usually we haven't seen what's inside Karrde's head. It's always Mara looking at Karrde.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's true.
Which is what I think has been the strange thing about the reveal about Mara's past, has probably came at the wrong time, or we were very unsatisfied with that from the beginning, because we're inside this character's head. It doesn't make sense that her context is withheld from us.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But after the reveal, I feel like Mara has been so much more an interesting character, because we empathize more with the person who's telling the story.
Yeah, because like, we're not just seeing an unbecoming behavior over and over and over again that is unpleasant to watch. Like, we understand it now.
Yeah, and on that, I feel like there was a line when we first jump into her point of view where it says the place she'd been when it had all ended. So when the Death Star 2 was destroyed and the Emperor was killed, she was on Coruscant, it seems. And I feel like it would have hurt or landed a little harder if we hadn't already heard this so many times before.
Yeah. Exact phrasing.
Yeah, the exact phrasing, and that we hadn't known that it was on Coruscant as well. Maybe it could have built up to, like, foreshadowing that this had been on Coruscant. She had been on Coruscant the whole time, and she's dreading going there, and this gives us another reason to empathize with why she wouldn't want to be at the heart of the Republic, or the heart of the dead Empire now.
You think the story switching to her perspective more often is her willingness to be more open with the main characters, but we swap to Thrawn constantly, so it's not like we're not getting villain perspectives in this story.
No.
That's something to think about. I'm actually going to be paying attention to that from here on out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had one chapter from a random Imperial's point of view. Most of the Imperials have been Pelion's point of view.
Yeah.
Outside of our heroes, it's just been Mara.
We had Karrde a couple times.
And we had one with Niles as well, Ferrier. Which I brought up the comment at the time that, is this too much?
Is it too much? I don't know. Too much what?
Too many point of views to be inclusive of in the story. Like, we're probably not going to go back to Niles. So what was the point of bringing him into the inner circle of characters that we can get inside their heads, but then maybe not do that again? I mean, we did get the bomb under the table of he wants to kill one of the smugglers, which turned out to be Lando, but he really wanted Lando dead for some reason. Well, we know the reason is because he kept messing with his plan. Kept messing with his business, his livelihood. So getting him implicated in things that he didn't want to be a part of.
Yeah, true. I'm starting to wonder why we haven't gotten Karrde's POV more often now.
Because he's gonna die in this book.
But wouldn't the opposite happen?
Didn't we get a POV from Sabayoth as well in the beginning?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, there we go.
We've gotten, I think, 2 instances for Sabayoth.
Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe Karrde is not a good POV character in the same way that Thrawn is not a good POV character.
Because he knows too much.
He knows too much. He's too perceptive of things, and it kind of ruins the tension when these are characters that are running the chessboard rather than the pieces on the chessboard that are being pushed. And the only time that we did jump into Karrde's head was when he was the piece being pushed, that he was lamenting that he has to leave this planet that he
Right.
spent so long building into a home.
Yeah, which was a nice touch.
I enjoyed it.
I like that. I'm starting to wonder if we got to Niles at that one point, because we had seen the impact of leaving that planet or losing that compound on the higher ups, but not like the average worker in that organization. So maybe there's a humanizing element to it.
Yeah. Or maybe as you point out, that's the most resonant character for that emotional beat.
Yeah. Maybe.
And then in the other storytelling, Thrawn is not really an emotional character, and Karrde's not particularly emotional. They're both very mechanical, almost in the way that they decide to do things. So it's harder to have a dynamic story with people that are very precision oriented.
Where's our mastermind for the New Republic? We have one for the smugglers. We have one for the Empire. We need a precise mastermind for the New Republic as well.
He's sitting in a fish tank.
He's been benched.
Why? I guess that is a good question. Why do you think, of all people, why can't I think of his name? Fishman.
Ackbar.
Ackbar, yeah. Why of all people Ackbar? Do you think he was the easiest to frame? Do you think it was a reason? Was it random?
Well, Fey'lya's vying for his position, right? Fey'lya's trying to get his position.
It's his position specifically?
I believe so. Or just a position.
I think it's because he is not very personable, and there is a popularist below him that would love to jockey him out of that position. And I feel like that's just the squeaky wheel, I guess, that Thrawn's going to grease to have it come down.
Nobody looked at no one looked at Ackbar and said that fish looks greedy.
He looks fishy.
All right, good night, everybody.
This has been Lost Holocron.
When we're introduced to Mara in this chapter, she says that there are well-remembered faces looking out over the Imperial landscape, and the list includes Grand Admiral Thrawn, Lord Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin, and others. And something stood out to me about that, like, why is Tarkin on that list? Tarkin died in, and of course he was extremely high up, right?
Yeah.
But he died in A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And, this is not just an in-universe thing, but an out-of-universe thing. I bet you're very few people who aren't massive nerds could name any of the other Imperial cogs in Empire or Jedi. Like, the only one that I can come up with is Admiral Piet, and that's it. Why is Tarkin so memorable? But all the other, and then there's just
it's those cheekbones.
Yeah, it's the slippers that he wore on set.
Did he actually? Amazing.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I
heard that. Yeah. What's his name? Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he wore slippers on set because you never see his feet.
Oh, okay.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think I heard that somewhere.
I mean, you could just Foley in the sound of hard shoes stepping. You don't have to have the slippers working.
Yeah. Yeah. Why does Tarkin have significance to Mara?
I mean, to me, he was a very pretty ominous and terrifying villain. Watching A New Hope for the first time, You know,
Yeah.
he was almost to that same level as Vader because, I mean, he was the one who blew up Alderaan, pretty much. So,
and he had Vader on a leash. He
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
in command
Fair.
that entire time, and he,
Yeah.
you know, props to Peter Cushing as my favorite Imperial, but like
Mhm.
he has a lot of charisma as well that none of
Yeah.
the other Imperials have.
yeah, he was really good.
Yeah, and I think that might be the thing is that in the first movie, it was a different story than what came in Empire and Jedi when it became more about Vader
Mhm.
and Luke's relationship. So we don't have, you know, Admiral Piet and who was the guy on the Death Star 2 that wasn't going to do something, but they cut it out of the final edit.
Hmm.
Was that still Piet?
No, Piet was the
I don't remember
Admiral. He
that.
was in the fleet. I would talk about there was somebody else on the Death Star. They had like some B plot where he was going to
Oh, it's not Piet, right?
the Emperor said that
Yeah, what
they're
was
down
that
there at the
guy?
shield generator, fire on them, destroy the planet, and he wasn't going to do that.
He said, yeah, he was the guy that said we shall double our efforts really, really, really quickly.
And like that's the thing is that they don't have any screen time, right? Not like Tarkin did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm thinking maybe it's because the story changed from a military drama to one that was more mythological between father and son.
Yeah.
And everybody else became the metaphor in the background to tell the story.
It wasn't General Veers, was it? No, it wasn't.
General Veers. Was he the one that he was the one on Hoth, right? That
Yes.
fired on the led the assault.
Oh man, this is gonna bug me so much.
Who was the one that had the apology that I'm going to apologize to Vader personally, and
I thought that was
he walks
Veers.
out with him dead on the floor and like message. What did he say?
Apology accepted.
Apology accepted.
Right. I think that was Piet.
That was Piet?
Was it?
Oh, okay.
That was Veers? I thought it was Veers.
No, it was not. No, it was not. Oh man, these Imperials look the same.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Oh man, they need some aliens in there. Oh, I got the guy's name. Commander Jerjerrod.
Ah.
Yeah.
Jerjerrod, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think Vader can just choke anybody from anywhere, or does he have to be looking at him through a screen?
I think it
what
helps
is
if
the
you can
range on
conceptualize them.
I mean, that'd be pretty terrifying if you could just be like, you know, that guy pissed me off 3 months ago. I'm gonna choke
It's like the
him.
Death Note. He just has to know their name.
Yeah.
That one guy put green milk in my calf that one day.
I specifically requested blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's all about the conceptualization because I think that the Emperor had a lot more control and could do those things, although didn't really do that.
Yeah, because I mean, if that was the case, couldn't Vader just think of all the rebel leaders and just choke them out?
I'm going to say, and I know this is completely false, he has infinite range in just whatever direction he points. So he will randomly just kind of here to the air.
So when his screen comes down to communicate, does it come down relative to the direction that the person he's talking to is in case he needs to choke them?
Yes. It was
No, it creates a subspace wormhole so that there is a direct line between him and the other person.
That would be cool to do with the Force.
That was, yeah.
No, but for real, I think it does have infinite range. There's the "judge me by my size, do you?"
Yeah.
line. So
Yeah, no,
like,
it's true.
obviously there's no everything that we see is some illusion to a degree, and it's just about whether you can peel back the illusion enough to create that thing. And because the rebel leaders are missing, we don't know where they are in the galaxy. It's like when you travel far enough, all of these senses become, I don't know, more into the noise of the background. Yeah, it just, your specificity would have to be enormous in order to conceptualize somebody several light years away, several hundred light years away, and among other people.
It's such a cool moment in the movie.
Which one?
Empire Strikes Back, when he choked him through the screen.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, and it makes Vader a little more terrifying at that point, too, because you're like, holy shit, he can do that?
Yeah.
Not just that, but then he summons another guy while that guy's choking in the background and is giving him a promotion there on the spot.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, Empire did a lot of heavy lifting for Vader, honestly.
I don't know.
I forget, isn't there a bounty hunter who has a breathing apparatus for the exact scenario that he gets force choked?
I think isn't it Cad Bane?
Okay, yeah, I think so.
That's cool.
It's like an alternative breathing thing that bypasses his throat or something like that.
Oh yeah, he's got those things that go directly into his, piped directly into his lungs.
If Vader was choking him, Vader would just pull the freaking tubes out of his throat or whatever,
Yes,
Possibly.
but he would have a moment where Vader, before
crush
Vader
him or
could
something.
realize it, where he would just get a shot off.
I guess.
That's what it's about.
I get. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
okay.
ultimately the force comes down to whatever I say it does currently at the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's magic. Pure magic.
Space magic.
The softest of magic systems.
Yes.
Don't you dare look me in the eye and tell me that George Lucas planned out the first 3 films perfectly. He knew exactly what the story was from episode 1.
No, he knew it. He had the whole
I'm convinced
thing.
I'm convinced that Luke and Leia weren't siblings when the movie first came out.
You are actually completely right.
Positive.
There was going to be a separate character for Luke's sister, and then George was like, I don't want to be doing this for years and years and years, so I'm just going to make it Leia. I think she was going to be called Kira, which then became the name for Rey when George Lucas was giving his treatment for those, and then it became Rey.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. He made it all up. Plans don't guarantee success.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I feel, for the most part, yes, it does. Like, I some of my favorite things get planned out ahead of time, and they just get to, like, make the story they want to make with an extended version of it. But, sometimes you don't need it.
Can I? Have you guys heard of the Kingdom Hearts director? That he in an interview they asked him how does he plan these things so far ahead to get these ideas for the new Kingdom Hearts games that are coming up, because they're like, there's 12 of them or something, based on like, some of them mobile exclusive games, and some of them are only available for like dead consoles now. And he said in the interview that, we have some notes somewhere, but usually I get my team to go watch those theory videos on YouTube that try to explain the whole backstory and the lore. And so he has the fans working for him.
Oh, great.
That is so clever.
Both to explain what happened before and what might happen going forwards.
I feel like the same thing happened with Scott Cawthon and the people who did theories for Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, would you like a quick rundown of the Kingdom Hearts titles?
Please. Yes.
we have Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Coded, Kingdom Hearts Mobile, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Dissonance, Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts X, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and Kingdom Hearts 3.
Whoa.
Dang. Are they trying to be like Final Fantasy or something?
Is this the General Hospital of video games?
This is more intense than General Hospital. Tim.
It's the guiding light, Tim.
There's
No,
that one that everybody gives Kingdom Hearts about is the naming conventions are so stupid, and the one they always point to is that 360. Is it 365 or
358 over 2?
358 over 2.
Yeah, so it's 358/2.
Yeah.
And the way that I've always heard people say it is over 2 or something. And then when I heard the story for it, there's like 2 separate characters that are maining in that title.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like it's not supposed to be over 2 or maybe like /2, but maybe by 2. And that the naming convention for the game was decided by the fans, and it didn't make any sense. But because it's made in Japan, and Japan kind of makes its own rules for how you should say stuff, that the idea works, but it just doesn't work when you give it to an international audience.
God. And I thought the Xbox naming conventions were bad.
Well, we probably won't have to worry about that ever again.
Oh.
Of course, I mean, I hope we do, but yeah.
I'm still waiting on a 1080.
monopolies.
Yeah, same. Why didn't they do Xbox 720?
Yeah.
I'm
right there.
convinced
Keep
that
going right in
the
circles.
reason I'm convinced the reason why that the Xbox consoles have such a different naming convention is to not seem inferior to PlayStation.
I'm pretty sure that's the actual reason.
I think I've heard that.
Yeah.
It would be
Oh my
more
God,
of a like a direct
But I think they've
competition.
gone off the rails because I mean I can't tell them apart anymore.
You know what they should have done this generation? Xbox 4K. Because that's where the resolution it can output. Come on, Microsoft.
Bring it back to the N64 days.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
I mean, you tell us your capacity. That gives us a reason to buy your hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What is a series?
Series.
Is S better than X?
honestly, I can't tell you.
I wonder what the limit of consoles is going to be.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we're getting off for Star Wars. Do you guys want to keep talking about Star Wars?
Anything else to bring up in this chapter?
We're heading to the dreadnaughts. I'm excited.
Yeah. I like how all our characters have been brought together. I feel like tensions have been set up pretty well.
Yeah. I'm really want a Thrawn chapter next because we've just been in the Imperial capital where to take it back a lot. We have Delta Source.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we're going to get a clue by jumping to Thrawn that they were talking about this, and we have to go back and kind of look at well, where were they when they said those things, or who were they talking to when they said those things? What kind of things can we divine from the information that Thrawn knows and that we have now been told in the Imperial capital? I keep calling it that, but it's Coruscant. In the what was it called? The Imperial Palace is where it is.
Imperial Palace. Yep.
Yeah. So I looked at the Coruscant article on Wikipedia because I was like, when did they give it the name Coruscant? Because it definitely didn't come up in the movies. They never went to the Imperial capital. and apparently that's what they were calling it up until this book.
Mhm.
And
This concept
when-
art for it in Return of the Jedi.
yeah, but then it was they couldn't do it with the special effects that they had at the time.
Yeah.
And this is all from what I read on the Wikipedia article. But so because they couldn't do it at the time, they scrapped that. But and they just called it the Imperial capital. They didn't have a name for it until Zahn was given all the materials to work with. And then he said, "But people aren't going to call it the Imperial capital. What are they going to call their planet?" And so he came up with the name Glittering and Sparkling, which is it's Coruscant. Coruscant is the actual pronunciation of this word in English. But when it was given through to the prequel era, George was convinced into using the name because that's what they'd set up. And they changed the pronunciation because it had only been written until then.
Neat.
Coruscant means something that's glittery and sparkling, but Coruscant is now the official name for that one.
Oh,
Now
cool.
being 20 years ago.
Huh.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was a word.
Timothy Zahn named Coruscant. Wow.
But yeah, that was a little tidbit that I learned after going, in this chapter.
Fascinating.
But yeah, now that we've been to Coruscant, I want to see what Thrawn now knows after that.
I think it's interesting that the mountains keep getting mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something that's been pretty consistent, right?
Yeah. That's something that keeps signaling to me that this is not the same Coruscant.
What do you mean?
Because in the movies, there's like, or in like Canada, there's like the one mountain peak sticking up through the city. There are not mountains in the background.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
No, this is a different side of the planet. Anything else?
Where did Lando go?
Is he finally getting his injury taken care of?
He's back in the back to thing.
Yeah, he was suspiciously absent from this chapter. I wonder where he's gone.
Mhm.
Yeah, not even mentioned.
Yeah.
Maybe he grabbed Mon Mothma after the meeting to talk about the value of Heffrium.
Zahn forgot about him. He was juggling too many other characters this chapter, and he just forgot.
I mean, Lando has no place there.
Yeah.
If this was
And
visual,
Lando's not like Han, where he would want to like be doing something anyway.
No. I mean, even the last chapter where he was like, I just want to go back and stop being shot at so that I can continue my mining efforts and making money.
Yeah.
You're
Man
here
is
for the
tired.
mining.
I feel like we're set up for a good showdown.
Yeah. Showdown
Okay,
at the Dark Force. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
This has been the Lost Holocron. You can find transcripts, links to discussion, and more at our website, lostholocron.com. While there, you can learn how to support the creation of future episodes. Read on, and we'll be waiting for you in the next transmission. We would be honored if you would join us.